Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in Alyssa of the Dark Crusade Season 2. On this very merry, heavily post-Christmas evening, we set the scene with the city's newest, or, well, this isn't actually explicitly true yet, the city's most recent visitor, given that she exists in a camp outside, who has sought to meet the good prince of the city, given that camping outside isn't a particular hassle, or even particularly meaningful one way or the other. It would be much more preferable to be able to act from within the city. And as such, lovely young Malkavian has made her way over to the residence of the prince, the palace, the residence of every prince for the past century or so. It's like it's a tradition. Unfortunately, the palace seems to outlive its occupants. But yes, that's where we start this scene. Which way are you coming from the palace? Because I think it actually has two entrances. One from the Justinopolis and the other from the Merchant's Quarter. Let me go find the map.
Justinopolis Mount, isn't that like on the other side of the river?
Yeah, one. Let me double check real quick. I think it's just because the palace is adjacent. I think. Yeah, the palace is adjacent to Justinopolis Mount. Technically connected to less than 4 districts.
Okay. I mean, she has been basically advised that coming here was the wise thing to do. So she's outside, I guess. She's like outside the walls. I'm gonna say like outside the south wall slums or something. So I guess she'll kind of come up and cross over from the Merchants District to the palace.
Okay.
And yeah, she will just walk through the city, and yeah, more or less just kind of like wait outside. She looks like some kind of beggar.
Yes. As you walk through the city, this map is inverted. Let's see. You make your way through Abraham's Fountain and Baldwin's Gift.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Do you want me to roll something?
No. I was just going to describe that Baldwin's Gift and Merchants District are quite clearly in a better state than the Southwall slums, not just in terms of infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
but also in terms of law and order and basic sanitation. In fact, considering in the Southwall slums, you would notice that there is a fairly significant reconstruction effort underway.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to have been underway for a while now. It's not like it's just started. It's probably been going for at least a few weeks, maybe a few months. Certain parts of the district are being rebuilt. Seems like there's an actual effort to make the neighborhood whole again, so to speak. Not necessarily gentrification, but definitely an improvement in basic facilities. As for Abraham's Fountain, well, yeah, being there is very odd. It's just a very strange sensation just being upon the grounds itself.
Yeah, she was told. Yeah, she was more or less told about the there or something. So
Yeah. Although you're quite morally upright, so it's not actually as bad for you. It's just a sort of eerie feeling. Good on you. Good job.
cool.
But yes, you do eventually make your way to the palace, where what does she do upon arriving to the palace? Does she just kind of stand outside, or
What was she told to do or suggested to do? Like she will literally just, I guess, stand outside and kind of. Are there guards? Are there people watching the door?
yeah, there are a couple guards. There's also someone on the wall who kind of just ignores you because they can. There are actually a few guards also kind of patrolling from the entrance to around to the neighboring district. There's actually a small set of tents just outside, kind of where guards who are kind of on cycling shifts can go sleep. It's kind of like a sort of pseudo base camp that never really got torn down,
Well,
and just kind of has just remained there.
She will. She'll basically just kind of look around, and she doesn't really know what to do. No one told her what to do. They simply told her to go see the prince, and this was the place to go. So she will actually just kind of just in front of the doors, get down in the dirt and begin praying.
Yeah, about a few minutes will pass of you praying, and the guards looking increasingly awkward, as they don't have a full understanding of what you're doing. Other than that, you seem to be praying to a faith that they don't that they're not subscribed to. But eventually, someone will arrive. They'll actually come from the gate itself, and it's a fairly it's a figure that's somewhat more heavily armored and well adorned than most of the other guards. Quite fairly tall, Arabian male figure.
He can hear as he gets closer that rather than some rhetoric, she appears to be having a kind of frantic, one-sided conversation with somebody.
Yeah, the guard just kind of walks on out as he begins. Before he just approaches, he actually just briefly stops and chastises one of the guards for not telling you to clear off already. As he approaches you and just says, "What on earth are you doing?"
She stops, praying for guidance. She will say it in Arabic if he looks like
he actually does speak in Arabic, yeah.
Yeah, she will say it in Arabic.
He looks around in a very puzzled fashion, looks towards the palace, which is the direction you're praying in, and you had to do that here. And you're blocking the road.
My journey has led me here, and I do not know how to proceed. I was asking the Lord for guidance.
Why are you here?
To render unto Caesar.
He pauses. Kind of, again, just sort of looks around and seems well unable how to proceed himself. Right. If you stay on the road, you're going to get ran over.
If that is what the Lord wills.
Give me good.
She will stop praying and she will look at him.
Why? What? Why am I even asking these questions?
You work for Caesar.
Yes. He kind of looks over his shoulder again.
I would like to meet him. I believe it is my path.
Hmm. She'll make a basic check. Just because this situation is really confusing me. Okay, so does this young Kafar have any traits which would be a bit abnormal, or dare to say inhuman, such as pale skin or lack of breathing?
She's humanity 8, but
Okay, yeah. So that, yeah.
I mean, she has caused something of a stir. Like she's met like 8 vampires already, and so there may be rumors circulating of someone matching her description. But otherwise, no, she doesn't look particularly vampiric. Aside from the fact she's here at night.
Aside from the fact that she's here, this is actually true. Someone praying in the middle of night is very strange. Well, in front of a palace at the middle of night, it's very strange.
If it's up to you, but if nothing happens, she will basically just pray there until it's coming to morning, and before that, then she'll just leave.
Oh no, no. What the god does? As he just says, you can pray off to the side.
Then she will.
I prefer you not get yourself killed in front of the palace.
She'll stand up and then again just like kneel down in the mud or dust, begin praying. And again, it sounds to him, it's not like she's reciting some litany or some scriptured prayer, but more like she's having a conversation with somebody. She's kind of like giving answers, asking questions.
Fucking mad. He kind of just shakes his head and walks back into the palace and again chastises one of the guards, mumbling that he has to do everything himself. Again, another few minutes will... A few minutes later, you will receive... how to put this? Another voice in the chorus of your mind. It sticks out because you haven't heard it before. It doesn't really fit with the rest of them. And it's not really asked. It does ask a question. In fact, it asks as you definitely feel something strange in your mind, like it's kind of a piercing feeling, but it's not painful. You just hear the voice say, "What are you doing in front of my palace?"
She will pause. Is this the voice of Caesar?
The voice does remain in silence for just that long. It says, "Yes, I just got back from my expedition into Gaul. What are you doing?"
I was told to come here.
And I presume no one told you how to go about doing that, did they?
No. I was waiting for guidance. And now you have arrived. The Lord has sent you to guide me on my way.
Oh, he's a lovely fellow from what I hear. And a few minutes, someone will arrive to escort you into the building. Try not to make more of a scene than you already have.
She will nod, and to an outward observer, she would appear to finish the conversation she was having, and she would just sit there in the dirt, her hands on her lap, quietly, until somebody arrives.
The connection to your mind just kind of fades away. The feeling just kind of painlessly evaporates. And the same guy who was questioning you earlier comes out, looking twice as exasperated. As he just looks at you and says, "I really shouldn't be surprised. Come with me."
She will stand up meekly and come with him.
And yes, you walk into the palace. Heading through the gardens, you can see a lot of people eyeing you because you really don't look like you belong in a palace at all, or anywhere within the vicinity of a palace. So you do kind of stick out to most of the people that are here, including even the guards, who are just dressed in sort of standard military equipment. you definitely feel a lot of eyes upon you as you enter the building. You kind of enter into a straight hallway, which can opens up into a large forum, which has a ton of almost a dozen different sort of corridors in their own separate directions. The ceiling is all the way at the top of the building, as the upper floors are comprised of balconies, which are kind of form an outer circle, rather than having any proper flooring.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a sight to behold, really. Actually, do you want to make me a quick perception awareness check,
Sweet.
considering you are here? Actually, I'll set up. It is dice roller 1.
Mm-hmm. Perception awareness or alertness?
Awareness.
Holy shit.
Wow. Okay. So, first time I've ever seen a Malkavian do so well at an awareness roll. So this is going to be an experience.
It's like their specialty.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
6 successes is pretty fucking mental.
It's almost like going mad with revelation is their thing. Yeah, as you enter this forum, the moment you kind of step into the forum, it feels like you've crossed a barrier. It feels a lot colder in here. You see almost faint outlines of apparitions which kind of seem to enter and leave your vision with varying degrees of spontaneity. You can smell, with that many successes, almost an overwhelming scent of blood being spilt and ash scattering across the room.
When she walks into the room, I guess if it's that overwhelming, she will actually like drop to her knees for a moment as the psychic bombardment of, everything that's gone on here, just like hits her like a brick in the face.
Mm.
And no, actually, let's say she doesn't drop to her knees. She kind of like just stumbles against a wall and leaning against the wall.
Yes, you get that scent as you're bombarded with that scent, you hear the sounds of pleading or prayers or wishes turning to requests, turning to demands. It's kind of a cacophony of sounds. They're not entirely coherent. That seem to initially draw from the hallway and then into the forum that you're in. as they slowly, the sounds, they start out as incoherent, but they slowly draw into two distinct voices. One quite calm, feminine, but they sound disgruntled, cynical. There's almost a sort of underlying depression in their voice and everything that they say. It's the sound of someone who is exhausted. And then there is the sound of a more masculine figure. Sounds quite posh, noble, self-assured. And the sounds turn into the image of two figures as they walk on through this room. It's almost like you're seeing the echo of their passage.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just get them for you. This is the masculine figure. This is the feminine one.
She watches these apparitions, manifestations of her own psychic sensitivity, and doesn't say anything, and just crosses herself. Has the guard reacted in any way?
No, he hasn't. You only really begin to hear him as the vision ends, and he's sort of just looking down on you and just kind of tilted his head, and he's just saying, "Are you praying again? Are you still there? Hello?"
This place is old.
It's been around for at least a century, from what I hear. Well before my time. I had to have repairs recently. Someone broke in through the roof. Just kind of points up to the roof. That's quite a drop.
You can repair and you can fix. Some things unseen remain. Please, take me to your master. And she'll stand up.
Right. What the He just moves along down a small network of corridors and up a floor until you get to what seems to be some sort of the office of an advisor. I feel bad making the comparison to some sort of privy chancellor because that is woefully incorrect for the region, but it's some sort of effective equivalent. And you will butcher me after the scene for even suggesting as such. But yes, it's kind of a fairly thin but long room. We have a large window at the end. At the end, there is a fairly ornate desk. There's some shelves for scrolls and books. And there is about a third of the way into the room, there is a small stone archway that leads into a smaller room, but with more desks, which you presume are where the subordinates or whatever this official is, where they work. Easily accessible, but also well out of the way. And at the end of the desk is is this figure who is almost as disheveled as she looks in the overlay. Her shirt is or I would say kind of white, bright tunic. Has been worn by time, as has her leggings. She's just kind of leaning back into the chair. She sees you, she leans forward. A bit suspect, but also very curious. As she speaks from all the way across the room. Introductions won't be necessary this time. She just kind of says to the guard and waves him off. And the guard just kind of goes, "Thank God," and just walks straight out of the room, and seems highly relieved.
She will just stand there, head bowed, hands kind of holding themselves in front of her, waiting for her to be kind of like asked to step forward.
Yeah, she just gestures you forward. A fairly impatient fashion. The motion is a bit hurried.
She will step forward. Forgive me. I am unused to the formalities. Is there something I must do?
Let's start with taking a seat.
Are the seats... What are the seats like?
The one you're sitting on, it's not like a grand ornate chair. It's a nice seat. It's comfortable.
Does it
But
have a
it's
cushion?
Yeah, it might have a cushion pinned to it.
She will say, "Apologies, I cannot."
You cannot sit, or
My creed disallows me indulgence in earthly comforts.
oh, you're not going to enjoy it very much here.
I do not aim to enjoy.
Oh, well. I have no reason to be concerned then. That is good. Well, where to start with you? I suppose names. I am Prince Chimera. I presume you are sitting outside. Well, you said you were sitting outside my doorstep to meet me, so I appreciate you endeavoring to do so. Bit of a shame it wasn't. Oh.
No, she would not interrupt you.
A bit of a shame it wasn't communicated to you as to how.
I was told to come and meet with you. I was told it was the proper form, and that without it, I would be considered a trespasser here. Was not made aware of any specifics. I apologize for not inquiring further.
It's quite all right. It's very much on those already established here to inform those about the standard procedure. Obviously, one cannot simply walk into a palace. It is why I do like it as a place for meetings, but it can complicate new introductions. But you are here now.
I am. And as introductions go, I am the Dove. I have recently arrived outside the city of Edessa, and I would ask sanctuary.
What brings you to Edessa? You seem ill-suited to a place like this.
I was driven from the land of my birth, as me and my followers were. We traveled east because there is no west to go. We traveled across Italy and Greece and the Holy Roman Empire, crossed the Bosphorus, Anatolia, and made our way here. We had thought that in the Holy Land we may find relief from our persecution.
Considering it's been the center of no less than 4 holy wars, I'm not entirely sure I share your optimism, but I can understand your reasoning. Who are your followers exactly? I was unaware you came with anybody else.
Apologies. They are not my followers. They follow the Lord. But we are members of... We follow a certain creed. It was once blossoming. But the enemies of God have persecuted us, killed us, burned us, driven us from our lands. And we have come to somewhere where their reach is not as far.
Doesn't exactly surprise me. Something that I found happens on quite a regular basis, to be honest.
This is a wicked world we live in.
Suppose we can only make the best of it. So, you're here seeking sanctuaries from your would-be persecutors. Are you aware if any of them are following you here? I'm not sure if you noticed, but despite being the capital for local county, it does have its problems.
I do not think any have followed her as here from Languedoc, but the Church of Rome has declared our sect enemies. I imagine that if the Church of Constantinople would examine us, they would find it the same. They are both churches of this world, not the next. They seek political power, wealth, control, and they have rejected the Lord. All me and my followers... Oh no, sorry, she wouldn't say that, I'm doing it now. All me and the other followers ask is a safe place. A place that we can preach. We do not use violence. We do not use persuasion. We simply speak. We wish a place that we will not be persecuted, that we will not be killed or burned, that the flower of God can have an opportunity to grow once again and to bring goodness and righteousness to this place. I believe that is why we have come here. I believe that is why the Lord brought us here.
There's a brief moment where the prince gauges you. There's something of a slightly slying smile on her face as she kind of briefly rubs her hands. Well, you certainly have chosen an interesting time to join us. Well, I don't think you'll have the same amount of persecution that you will have dealt with elsewhere. We certainly do share our enemies of God. The city has had a problem with malicious spirits as of late. I keep an eye out for them, just in case.
Satan takes many forms.
In our city, it's taken one of the more conventional ones. Horns and all. Nonetheless, I believe Satan's time in the city is reaching its conclusion. So that is something you won't have to worry about, but being as devoted as you are, I thought I'd warn you in advance. Don't want you to make yourself a target now.
This is Satan's place. He tests us all.
Well, it's my place, I'm kicking him out.
I do not mean this city literally. I mean this world.
She shrugs. Well, as I said, make the best of it. I'm going to be here for quite a long time.
I would ask us, followers of the Lord, have been on the road for a long time. I am unfamiliar of how I should proceed in our society. I've been told that I should not remain in my encampment outside the walls. But I've also been told that I should not venture into the territory of another, or they will see it as trespassing.
What is the territory of this other?
I mean in the city. I have been told that many claim portions of it as their own. I do not seek to do so. I do not wish for territory. I wish only to have somewhere safe that we may reside.
Yes, many Canaanites of the city have claimed domain. As such, quite a significant portion of the city is in the hands of many enterprising Canaanites. You are permitted to travel through all of them freely, so long as you don't linger. To my knowledge, you're not permitted to feed within any, however. That would be a problem. I believe it would be my share of having a word with you about that. You are not obligated to pursue domain, we do have a place where you can feed freely and safely.
I have a habit of feeding, and she says this. It's almost like the word catches in her mouth. From among the other followers, we have an understanding. It is. I would not wish to inflict this upon others, unless absolutely necessary. I've tried to resist what I've been told is called the thirst, and I've found if I do, much worse happens. But that is my sin to bear.
Yes, the hunger and the beast are nefarious things. As for your followers, I certainly hope that doesn't mean they know explicitly what you are.
No.
Good.
We have a ceremony, and as I say, in my sin, I have manipulated it. She looks like deeply ashamed by this. But as I said, we all have our spiritual compromises.
Indeed we do, but this I can work with.
I would ask, in a more practical sense, we have no possessions, or very little. I do not know what I could do for you, but everything I have that is my own is yours. I would, however, beg assistance in finding or being given permission to make some place our own. I do not need a place of luxury. That is not the aim. But every flower must have earth for its roots, if it is to blossom.
Personally, I care very little where you and your followers make your respective haven, so long as it exists outside of the domain of others. I can provide that information to you if you require it, given that it was not communicated with you as to how to even make it here. I have no doubt that it was not communicated to you where everybody's respective domains are either.
She shakes her head.
She'll put up a map. I have a very out-of-date one. I'm not really going to put it up here. Actually, we'll put it up just because it gives you a vague idea. It is out of date. I lost the GIMP file. This is the general idea. So a lot of the city has been claimed. But there are quite a few chunks where you could make your haven.
How would one go about this, O Caesar? Would I simply reside somewhere?
If you wish to reside somewhere, you may do so. It would not make it your domain. That would have to be granted from me as
I
a...
don't wish for domain.
Well, there you go.
I would not make such a presumption. I would ask that I have been told that preaching non I have been told that preaching non-Saracen texts is illegal. And that I will likely have a run-in with the city's authorities.
Likely so, given that while none of the Abrahamic faiths are explicitly outlawed, yours is a heresy amongst at least one of them, legally speaking, of course.
I would ask your protection. I do not know what I could do in return, aside from offer you salvation, but I ask it nonetheless.
I shall consider it. I'm sure I can conceptualize something for you to provide me. However, protection, my actions, my hand, these are things I generally consider earned more so than anything else.
But how may I earn them? Everything I have is yours, but I have so little.
I noticed. I have very little for you right now, but I'm sure, given time, I shall be able to, again, conceptualize something for you. If you do find yourself running into the authorities before then, myself or another will be able to ensure your release unharmed. It will not be without cost, however. But that is on a case-by-case basis.
How would you advise I proceed? I will not hide my intentions. I would like to preach the pure way to this city, a way of righteousness, a way against evil. I would like to do this but I do not wish to make enemies. I am not so blind in my preaching to know that I do not wish to cause suffering and hate. People, how would you advise we could proceed?
Well, if you wish to reform this city's approach to God, I would advise you do so subtly. As you said, you're not exactly going to be making any friends doing what you're doing. Find those who are in the most need, for most desperate. It is rather ironic. It is the same people who so often fault a vice who are the simplest to pull out of.
With respect, those who are in most need are those that reside in this palace.
She kind of puts up her hands and says, well, I suppose I should have expected that. Then perhaps there is one who operates among those circles who shares your goals. Maybe one of our own kind, used to say.
Yes.
If not, you're going to have a very interesting time even being able to talk to them. The community is quite heavily gated.
The Lord creates obstacles so we may overcome them. Another thing. I believe that while the Lord has brought the rest of my followers here, so they can preach to the people of Edessa, heal this place, create room in their hearts for the Lord to cast out vice and temptation, I'm beginning to believe that he may have brought me here to preach to those as damned as I.
So long as it's not to me. You can speak to others how you wish.
She nods.
But I wish to make decisions for myself and inform myself.
I make decisions for nobody. I only say this because in our travels across Christendom, others of our kind have attempted to prey on me and the other followers.
Passive targets are easy targets. And from what I gather from what you're saying, I can imagine several philosophies our kind follow that would view you as quite dangerous. She kind of just looks off to the side, quite kind of with a curious smile, like it's something she's mulling over. Something that intrigues her.
With respect, Caesar, I am nobody. I am not worth fearing. The only thing fearful about me is that I speak the word of the Lord, and those who do not wish to hear it have only that to fear.
Well, by that logic, I believe an entire clan has reason to fear you.
Oh?
What I do not believe that the Scythites have any real trust, belief, or faith in your lord. In fact, I believe they're quite taken aback and have been for many centuries now.
I have met one who claimed this title, called himself Keeper of Elysium.
Oh, yes, he is. Saladrin.
He seemed amused by me.
He's amused by a lot of things.
I will pray for him.
I'm sure he'll appreciate it. But yes, I see no reason to disallow you residence within my city. You've been polite, if slightly meandering, but that is understandable.
I apologize for wasting your time. I am not used to these situations.
And neither am I. But it is interesting every time.
You are new to this role, then?
Yes. It's been a few months now. The former prince, he was, from what I was told, destroyed within these very walls.
She's going to consider for a moment. Did he look sunken skin, pale?
Yes, he was a grave robber, a Cappadocian, quite old, and a devout Muslim, if I recall.
And he spent time with a beautiful woman, dressed in the finery of court.
No. We have, well, several women within this city you consider beautiful, I suppose. But he wasn't known for paying any real attention to women in particular. I can't recall him having any female companions.
Then I must have seen something else.
Wait, what did you see? She snaps back to you.
When I entered here, a vision. A man with a sunken face. I hear blood, ash. I could taste it on my tongue. I hear requests and begging for mercy or favor, I don't know. The Lord speaks to me in mysterious ways.
I was never there to witness it. But there were those that did witness the destruction of the prince. 2 individuals. One I have an agreement with. The other is currently on the run.
Sorry, did she say currently in the room?
No, currently on the run.
Oh, all right.
She has a deal with one, and the other is apparently being hunted down.
Oh, okay. I do not wish to become an obstacle in politics, I wish to avoid it if at all necessary. I wish to keep a simple life, devoted to our Lord.
Well, I think you'll find things here are really simple, but I wish you luck all the same.
I know you have asked me not to prophesize to you, but if you ever find yourself in need of spiritual succor, if you ever have questions about divinity, I am an ignorant sinner, but if I could help, I can. If I would help, I could.
I understand. You welcome me with open arms. She kind of puts up her hand. Would that be all? Dove? Would you be okay if I just called you Dove?
My name is meaningless. But yes, it avoids confusion.
Yes, and there's quite enough of that already. If that is all, I do not believe... Oh.
Sorry, no, go on.
If that is all, I do believe we can call our meeting here concluded, unless there is something else.
Thank you for seeing me. I will go back to the other followers and we will make our way into the city. I will see if there is anyone who will take us in.
There are about as many kind as there are cruel. I'm sure you'll find plenty.
The Lord will provide. And she will nod. And yeah, then she will make her leave. Barefooted, dusty in her worn robe.
Yeah, surprisingly, the prince doesn't actually look that much different from you in the sense I forgot to mention the prince is actually barefooted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you saw some sandals just tossed over to the side. Yeah, she's quite dusty, and her clothes are fairly practical and worn. But as you go to leave, you see the guard again, who's just not happy to see you, but he will escort you out. And just for fun, would you like to roll to see if you convince anyone to take you in?
Yeah, sure.
Or if you'll need to find some abandoned hovel in the middle of the slums to house up in.
So she has an ally who I think, basically it's, as we discussed, some preacher who was kind of taken in. Maybe he's kind of already a radical preacher and who was kind of impressed with them. But yeah, maybe they could find someone that has heard their message, that has a building in the slum, or actually no. I'll tell you what. I'll roll to see how many successes I can get, and then you can tell me where the best option would be. What would you like me to roll?
If you're trying to convince somebody or someone, probably charisma, empathy, or charisma expression. Probably charisma, empathy, because it's very heartfelt. It's all about connecting with another person.
Okay, yep, that works. I have zeros. Oh no, a single success.
A single success. Well, someone out there is willing to take you in at least. Probably the one success is probably someone who has heard your message and was probably on the path to the true faith to begin with. Probably in the slums somewhere. Probably Southall. The Arab slums is.
That sounds good. Among the poor.
Yeah. The Arab.
Accurate.
Yeah, Southall slums is. It's a very it's a very honest community. Still has its fair share of crime, being a slum and all, but the Absalom's very much a community also known for raucous block parties and rioting, and it's very
They will find a small housing in the South Wall slums, and yeah, they will move in and begin turning it into a place of worship. And thank you for the scene.
no problem. Thank you, Pepper. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.